Hi, it's Christine Madera from modernmystic.net and Conversations from the Edge podcast. And today we are talking about feelings and emotions because this week's Mystic Wisdom was trusting feelings over emotions. Now, I'm not saying that emotions are bad or wrong, and I'm not saying that you should always banish them or ignore them or anything like that. But what I really wanted to do was talk about the difference between feelings and emotions because many people, myself included, I do this all the time, and it's hard not to, interchangeably use the words feelings and emotions. But there's a particular reason, I think, why we always lump them together or we say feelings and emotions, because intuitively we know that they're different. But sometimes it's hard to know what the difference is and how to categorize or cultivate, an understanding and experience of what am I experiencing now as a feeling and what am I experiencing now as an emotion. So what feelings and emotions have in common is that they are both information that flows through your body. And they give you different kinds of information, but they're both part of your inner information system. So emotions are part of your physical body's information system. They stem from your nervous system, are expressed through hormones in your endocrine system, and they feel very urgent. They feel very compelling. They get you to act now because they're kind of built on that fight-flight system we have in our brain that helps to keep us safe. So that fight-flight system was kind of designed to keep us physically safe, and we as humans are very creative, and so we have also used that same system to stay emotionally safe. And so when something happens, particularly when you were quite young, before you were able to cognitively process anything, and everything you experienced was experienced via emotion, that those emotions were really based on trying to stay emotionally safe. So, or even physically safe. So I had lots of clients who had feelings of abandonment and all of the anger and the fear and all of these things that come from this feeling of abandonment. But when we did regression work back to the source of that abandonment, it was really, things like being left in a crib to go to sleep. And feeling as if, because they were feeling they were under threat. They were crying. They wanted a cookie. They wanted mom. They wanted whatever. But, the thought of the day was you let kids cry themselves to sleep. And even now, I'm not sure what parents do. But in some way, kids need to learn to fall asleep on their own. And so there was this feeling of abandonment that, I'm in peril. I'm upset. And mom's not coming, nobody's here, I'm thirsty, nobody cares. And there's this huge feeling of abandonment. And so once we uncover that, then we're able to release that. But what happens is that gets caught in the body. And so we have this unresolved feeling, see, there you go, feeling and emotion, this unresolved experience of abandonment and all of the fear and the anger and the rage and the helplessness and hopelessness attached to that from this experience that we couldn't think our way out of or cognitively understand. Mom's taking a nap, I'm taking a nap, everything's fine. And that gets stored in your body. And then something happens later on in your life, like maybe your boyfriend or girlfriend leaves. Maybe, mom forgets to pick you up from school one day. And then that old feeling of abandonment rises back up in your nervous system, fires everything up. And all of a sudden you've got, sweaty palms and you're angry and you've got stress hormones raging. All of this stuff is happening because of something that's happening in the moment that triggered that old response. And so when you have that old response triggered from your memory system, it's like you're reliving that crib experience all over again in current time. And so that's where emotions come from. They're always based on something in the past. They're generally based on something that had some level of trauma or separation, fear, anxiety, anger, that kind of thing. And they're unresolved. And so when you experience something that's similar, because this is how your brain works, something similar, it triggers that old response to give you some ideas about how to respond in the moment, even if it's completely inappropriate, because Okay, so, you get abandoned by a boyfriend or girlfriend in modern life. It's not the end of the world, right? But it feels like the end of the world because you've got this old survival impulse coming up saying this is horrible. All right, so feelings, on the other hand, emotions are very physical, part of your physical body, nervous system, endocrine system, learned condition system. Feelings are part of your subtle body, the energy body, the body that is really underlies your physical body. So it gives energetic structure to your body that then your physical structure stems from. So this subtle body, this energy body, is connected to all that is. It's connected to your higher, more infinite self, which is connected to the universe, which is part of that whole universal connection. And because you have that universal connection, and you also have a subtle body, you can feel in your subtle body information flow of what's going on. So you can feel some congestion in one part of your body before it becomes a physical ailment. You can feel there's something off on that energy level when there's something maybe that's unresolved a little bit, or that you've got two minds about, but is not, hasn't risen to the level of being an emotionally triggered event yet. So you can also feel when your body is like adjusting, adapting, integrating all of these things if you begin to pay close attention. But the beautiful thing about feelings is that the subtle body has access to our universal self, our infinite self, and receives information from that field. And so we can have information in the form of insight, inspiration, intuition, that knowing, that quiet voice, and the knowing that, there's something about what to do or what not to do or where to go or what not to do or who to call, or, something in the moment that gives you information that's unavailable to your emotional self because it's not part of your past. It's unavailable to your sensory self, your eyes, ears, nose, mouth, that kind of physical sensory self. But it's this information in this field where everything is happening, everything is present, that's letting you know, here's, you need to make an adjustment, or not need. It would be good to make an adjustment, or it would be good to take this action, to call this particular person. And I've had those things. We've all had these inklings. Oh, I really need to change my website. This is my most recent one. I need to change my website hoster. Had that for quite some time, this little itch. Change your website hoster. Nothing was happening. There was no problems. And now all of a sudden, there's a big problem. And had I changed it earlier, there wouldn't have been this problem. So, we all have those little inklings, and they come from that subtle energy system and that subtle, and how it's connected to the subtle field, which is giving us information that's outside of our physical and sensory systems, outside of our memory, outside of anything that we can cognitively look out and process. So that's why feelings, because you're connected to this larger field, will give you more accurate information in the moment about how to respond in the moment, what to be in the moment, how, what you might need to do in the moment, than emotions do, because emotions are always based in the past. But emotions can give you, as they fire up, they will tell you where you have caught energy. And so when you find out where you've got that old stored caught energy, you can then, experience that for a moment and then drop into your feeling body, your subtle body, and let that subtle body begin to nourish those old feelings, those old, see, there I go again, those old emotions, those old energies, and help to release them from your body so they no longer trigger you. Because it's really hard to get out of a trigger once you're triggered. But the more that you practice, relaxing into, softening into your feeling body, your subtle body, the more you're able to easily let go of those emotional triggers and more easily receive information that moves you in the moment, the direction that is highest and best for you in that moment, because it's coming from your highest and best self. So that's the difference between feelings and emotions. But in this short video, I interchange them how many times? Like 5 or 6 times. It's so easy to do. So just be aware of your vocabulary, but also just of how you are using them. So when you're in emotions and when you're in feelings, and learn the difference for you and your body, and begin to practice and cultivate that state of being more in your feeling body than in your emotional body. And things will absolutely magnificently change for you. All right, have a great day.